Well, hello everybody. I just wanted to show you all real quick. One of the gifts that I got from my ordination were these booklets where you can work your way through different books of the New Testament and then you can make notes on this right side. So I kind of wanted to use this opportunity as a means to just kind of show you all how I work my way through a text. I'll probably be posting maybe one or two of these a week. Again, the goal here isn't to have some sort of in-depth sermon, but I just want to show you kind of how I read through the text, how I break it down in my mind, and hopefully it'll help one of you all be able to work through the text as well. So today we're going to be looking at verses 1 through 4 in the letter of 1 John. So we start out, first sentence, that which was from the beginning. So from the beginning naturally sticks out in my mind. We know that the writer of this is the first letter of John, the first letter of John. So naturally it makes me think back to John, the Gospel of John, and it's about chapter 1 and verse 1 specifically. That's where John writes, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So we see kind of that echo back to the Gospel. That which was from the beginning, which we have heard, okay, which we have heard, which we have seen with our own eyes, which we have looked upon and have touched with our hands. So we see they heard and seen, which ultimately led to them being able to lay their hands physically on it. And again, we see this echoing back to John's Gospel, specifically in chapter 1, verse 14. This is where it said, the Word became flesh. So the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and that it did. So he goes on here, that which we have touched with our hands concerning the word of life. We remember back here in John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word of life. The life was made manifest. It became flesh, that word being Jesus. So we have seen it and testify and proclaim it. We've seen it, we testify to it, and ultimately we proclaim it to you. So we saw it, talking about Jesus, this good news. We believe it. And what does that make us do? Tell others. So we've seen this Jesus, right, from the beginning, this one that was promised in the Old Testament. We have seen it with our eyes. We have looked upon it. We have touched it with our hands. We believe it. So what do? We tell others about it. But notice what he calls Jesus here. This is the eternal life. Eternal life. Again, when we read through this, it's no question who this author is, because this is clearly referencing back to the Gospel of John, specifically chapter 14 and verse 6, where Jesus says, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. And so he is. You kind of see him going back to what he was referencing earlier in the Gospel of John, chapter 1. So that which was with the Father was made manifest to you. That the Word was in the beginning with God, was God, has now became flesh. That which we have seen and heard, we proclaim to you also, so that. So anytime we see these transitions here, it's extremely important that these stick out to us. It's almost like a cause and effect. A, because of B. A, so that B. Right? He's saying, that which we have seen and heard, we proclaim to you also, so that. Why? Why do we proclaim this to you? So that you too may have fellowship with us. So we see here that this, well, if I could spell properly, this fellowship here with the Father, is accomplished by the Son. Indeed, our fellowship is with the Father and with his Son, Jesus Christ. And I'm trying to keep these under 5 minutes. I'm already over 5 minutes, so I'm going to just sum it up real quick. We'll go to verse 4. And we are writing these things so that our joy may be complete. So again here, verse 4, we see this referencing back to John 15. And we remember that. We covered that in Sunday school a couple weeks ago. This is where John writes about the vine and the branches. It's where Jesus says, he who abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. He emphasizes on this abiding, but he closes it out in John 15. I believe it's in verse 11, where he says, I tell you these things so that your joy may be complete. And what John is ultimately saying here is he's summing up everything that he had said in his gospel so far. This Jesus was eternal. He was in the beginning with God. He was God. That we've seen these things, we believe these things, and we tell others about it. That this Jesus is eternal life. He is the way, the truth, and the life. And the reason that we're telling you all this is so that you can have fellowship with the Father through Jesus Christ, that you are to abide in him in order that your joy may be complete. Well, again, this is just going to be one of our first lessons, kind of showing you how I go throughout the text. And again, in the future, I'll try to keep these under 5 minutes. I apologize for my poor handwriting, but God bless you all.